Stepping up to the couch, it's Brian, who led the league last season in cracked screens. But with his new athletic case, it looks like that won't be the case. Touchdown, Brian!
We are now approaching the point in the season where every team has played about 20 games, which is about 1/4 of the season. So while it is still early, we do have a good idea of how good or bad players have been this season. After an entire summer of working out, training, and improving their games, it's now apparent which players actually succeeded in doing so, and which ones haven't made much progress at all. This same principle can be applied to rookies regarding how much they have improved since their college days. Every year, there are players that surprise everyone and play a lot better than they were expected to based on where they were taken in the draft. This brings us to the topic of today's video, where I'll be discussing 4 rookies that are exceeding all of the expectations put on them before the season and are surprising quite a few people as a result. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first player on this list is someone that already had fairly high expectations from the jump, yet is blowing those expectations out of the water and outperforming what anyone could have expected from him, and that player is Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Doncic was the 3rd pick in this year's draft by the Atlanta Hawks, but was traded immediately to the Dallas Mavericks. He didn't play in college basketball, but instead grew up overseas playing against the best talent Europe had to offer. He was on Real Madrid and won the EuroLeague and was named the MVP of the tournament, making him the youngest winner of that award ever. The EuroLeague is well known for being the most competitive basketball league outside of the NBA, and the fact that Doncic excelled at this level of competition should have made it obvious that he was going to translate well to the NBA, yet he still had plenty of doubters. European players always get a bad rap when it comes to grading them as draft prospects because there have been quite a few busts, but putting Doncic in the same category as them was lazy then and is still lazy today. He is the most accomplished teenager in European basketball history and is now proving himself in the NBA. Whether you believed in him or not, there's no way you could have seen the explosion of his game coming before the season. He's averaging 19.1 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists, and is even shooting the ball efficiently at 45.3% from the field and 39.6% from 3. Efficiency is typically the one area that rookie guards struggle with because the jump from college basketball to the NBA is so big, but Doncic is used to playing against grown men, so he hasn't needed much time to adjust at all. If the West wasn't so stacked, he could have possibly been in the running for an all-star spot, but down the line, he definitely has a very good chance to be one. For now though, I think he's just fine with being the heavy favorite for Rookie of the Year. Up next on this list is someone that at the time he was drafted had virtually no buzz around him at all, and was forgotten about for the most part until preseason by the fan base that drafted him, and that player is Landry Shamet, who was drafted 26th overall by the Philadelphia 76ers. Shamet played 3 years in college at Wichita State and had a very good career there, improving as a player in each of his first 3 seasons. He was a point guard who excelled at shooting from deep and creating shots for himself off the dribble, which seem like key attributes for guards in the NBA today, but he's not exactly the biggest, fastest, or most athletic player, which knocked his stock down quite a bit. On draft night, many Sixers reporters gave off the impression that the team was reaching by even drafting him in the first round. And the fact that he was the 2nd selection by the Sixers on the night made him easily forgettable. When Summer League came around, which is typically when young players first get their opportunity to give off a good impression to their team, he got hurt in the first game and didn't play again after that, so he once again became an afterthought. However, there was a key hole in the Sixers rotation that needed filling, and that was replacing Marco Bellinelli. Bellinelli was a late addition to the Sixers roster last season from the buyout market and immediately made a big impact on the team. His ability to knock down shots from anywhere on the floor was critical to create space that was needed for the offense to work. The Sixers didn't re-sign him this summer, so they needed someone to play that role, and Shamet has been just that. Shamet's switch from being a point guard to a shooting guard was probably the best thing for his NBA career, and getting to train with JJ Redick every day is going to be huge for him too. They both have similar play styles moving off the ball and shooting, and Redick's one of the best shooters ever. Having him as a mentor is only going to help him down the line. This season, Shamet has provided spacing and has established himself as a threat in catch-and-shoot situations. He's shooting 39% from 3 on 4.8 attempts per game, which is huge on this Sixers team. He's scored in double figures 9 times this season also, and for a guy that wasn't even expected to be in the rotation at all, and probably be a G League player most of the season, he's proving everyone wrong early on. The next player up on this list was an intriguing prospect from the jump, but wasn't exactly expected to earn such a big role as fast as he has, and that player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Gilgeous-Alexander played 1 season at Kentucky before declaring for the draft, but he wasn't necessarily expected to be a one-and-done prospect before the season. Out of the 8 incoming freshmen to Kentucky from his class, he was only ranked 7th best out of that group, and wasn't even the best point guard that got recruited to Kentucky that year. The chip on his shoulder that he played with elevated his game, and it didn't take long for him to take over. Throughout the course of the season, he went from a backup to undoubtedly the best player on his Kentucky team, and he led that team all the way to the Sweet 16. The appeal in his game at the NBA level is that he's such a good all-around player. He's a savvy ball handler that uses a bunch of different hesitation moves to get by defenders and create offense for himself. He finishes well at the basket through contact, and does well avoiding shot blockers, and he also has great physical tools for defensive purposes. He got drafted 11th overall by the Charlotte Hornets, but was then traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers had Patrick Beverley returning from injury, so at most Shai was expected to be the backup, but after just 9 games, he won the starting position. This is impressive for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason is that the Clippers aren't just some mediocre rebuilding team so far. They actually have the best record in the Western Conference at the moment, which is just crazy to think about. Gilgeous-Alexander has been terrific on defense, pestering opposing ball handlers with his length and quickness, and offensively he's been scoring 12.6 points per game as a starter. He's showing potential to be a very good two-way player down the line, and is giving the team more than they expected from him right away. The final player on this list is someone that I've actually made a prior video about, but I couldn't leave him off of this list, and that is Allonzo Trier of the New York Knicks. Trier played 3 seasons at Arizona after being a 5-star recruit and a McDonald's All-American. He was a big part of Arizona's offense from the jump, and only got better in each of his 3 seasons. He racked up numerous awards as well, including MVP of the 2017 Pac-12 tournament, 2nd team All-Pac-12 in 2017, and 1st team All-Pac-12 in 2018. His playstyle and production seemed like a perfect match for the NBA, but unfortunately things got a bit rocky at Arizona. He got in an accident early on, and in his recovery was given something that he was told would help him recover, but it had a banned substance in it, and even though he didn't knowingly take it, he still got suspended. He then went on to fail a 2nd drug test because the same substance was still in his system. Even though he didn't do this on purpose, it was still a bad look, and as a result, he went undrafted. The Knicks then picked him up, and from that moment on, he's been proving the world wrong. He's on a 2-way contract, so he wasn't even expected to be in the rotation, let alone be a major contributor. Through 20 games though, he's been spectacular. He's averaging 11.5 points in 23.8 minutes per game, and his efficiency is what has been most impressive. He's shooting 49.7% from the field and 47.2% from 3. He's a natural scorer who you can just give the ball to and expect to get a bucket. His handle is smooth and he constantly attacks the basket, and his jump shot has been lethal. It's actually crazy to think that every NBA team passed on him in the draft because he showed in college that he was very talented. But here we are now, and the Knicks got themselves an absolute steal. Trier's confidence seems to grow with each passing game and could prove to be one of the best undrafted players we've seen in a long time. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content, because in December I am going to be uploading a ton. Stay tuned for that, and on that note, I'll see you guys next time.